Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the clan boss. And I'm going to give you guys the rundown what a early to mid game player should be doing to have the best clan boss team they can possibly have in their roster. So obviously this type of advice might not be relevant to obviously late or end game players that are already one keying or two keying the top difficulty for the top chest. What I mean by that is that you're doing enough damage to get the top chest with one or two keys. Even if you are doing any kind of Ultra Nightmare content for Clan Boss, you probably won't find this info too relevant. But this info is super relevant to players that are progressing through the Clan Boss, especially those that are exiting the brutal stage into the nightmare stage, because I feel that's probably one of the biggest transitions, and then exiting the nightmare stage into the ultra nightmare stage of the clan boss. So in this video, I want to break down what you guys need to make a proper team, what you guys should expect in terms of overall stats, and how you guys can prepare for tackling the hardest difficulty of clan boss. So let's jump right into it. All right, guys, so jumping into the clan boss here. So we're going to go into the clan boss. So first, obviously, you start off with easy, and then normal, and then hard. These three difficulties are very early stage, beginner stage difficulties. They don't have too much difference in terms of difficulty. What I would recommend is the first two stages of the clan boss are generally very similar, especially in overall difficulty. So what I would overall recommend for you guys is basically bring your best champions that you have from your roster and then just plug them into the clan boss and then let them go. And then you'll probably generate enough damage on the clan boss to basically get your top chest. So what I'm talking about is the warrior chest here. You always want the top chest so that you get a chance at the best rewards. And then you move on to the next one, next difficulty, and so forth. So I'm going to bring up a graphic here. All right, so this graphic above my head, courtesy of hellhades.com. He has a stage tool on his website, shows you the stats of every single stage in the whole game. So it's a great reference tool if you guys are interested. hellhades.com. Definitely check out the website. One of the best resources in the game for this type of content and any Raid Shadow Legend related content in general. So you can see here, I have this ordered from easiest difficulty all the way to the most difficult Ultra Nightmare at the very end. So at the beginning here, we're looking at the easy clan boss. You can see that the clan boss only has 90 base speed with a resistance of 30. So this means that the easy difficulty clan boss very easily can be debuffed. So you can place all your debuffs on them without any real accuracy. Also, the base speed is lower than most champions' base speeds. So I'd recommend basically bringing in your campaign farmer or whoever you brought in as 60, or bring in your 50s. You can easily tackle easy. After that, go into normal. You can probably do similar damage to normal. You can see here in normal difficulty, the speed goes up to 120, which is still very reasonable for any champion in any type of gear, as long as you have some speed on them. So this is kind of where you guys are seeing the progression of the difficulty of the clan boss. You can also see that the resistance is at 50, which means in order to have a 95% chance of landing your debuff, you need 75 accuracy. This requires a little bit more thoughtfulness in terms of your gear, so you do need to put some accuracy on your champions in order to land some debuffs. What I find people starting to have some difficulty is during hard difficulty. During the hard difficulty, this is kind of when the mistakes that you make early on in the game, very early on in the game, start to show, because during hard difficulty, your base speed for the Demon Lord is 140. Ideally, you want to be faster than the Demon Lord so you can deal more damage. Generally, if you are faster in general than the Demon Lord, you will be doing more and more damage. You'll be cycling through your abilities more, you'll be healing more, you'll be debuffing more, etc., etc. You'll just be landing more hits, doing more damage. So here in hard difficulty, he's 140 speed. I find that some accounts or some players have trouble managing a roster with too many gear requirements. So then they start having champions that are way too fast and having champions that are way too slow, for example. You know, an easy way to kind of gear your champions is basically just give them all speed boots, especially in the beginning. If you have enough speed boot on everybody, you're basically looking at 140, 150 speed on everyone without adding any more substats. So hard difficulty, you're looking at 140 speed. Try to hit that at least. And here the resistance is up to 75. So the resistance is up to 75. You're looking at least 100 accuracy to have a 95% chance of landing your debuffs, whatever they are. It could be poison, HP burn, decreased defense. That's what you're going to need against the hard difficulty clan boss. After the hard difficulty clan boss, you have to make some deliberate choices in your clan boss team. So up until hard, you can kind of just throw whatever, 5 champions, your best 5 champions into hard, and you'll probably do okay. However, once you start hitting brutal, so here are the brutal stats. Brutal, 160 speed, clan boss speed, and 100 resistance, so you're looking at about 125 accuracy. 125 accuracy is not actually super easy to hit without specific accuracy gear. So this is kind of where you need to be doing your due diligence, doing faction wars, crafting perception gear, saving accuracy gear, and even adding a banner would be massive help, massive improvement at this stage in Brutal. Brutal is probably where most people will struggle if they didn't have proper direction up to this point. Your damage dealers won't be able to deal sufficient damage to the brutal clan boss to be able to clear the 21 million required damage to get the top chest. So for brutal, I would recommend having a team of 5 60s. This is kind of where you're at here. 5 60s, and ideally all 5 60s will be fully mastered with War Master or Giant Slayer. So if you guys aren't aware, War Master is a T6 offense-based mastery that deals damage based on the max HP. So against the clan boss, where the max HP is quite high, War Master will be a big chunk of your overall damage, even if your champion is a support champion or has no damage stats. As long as they inflict a hit, War Master has a chance to trigger and deal damage to the clan boss. Similarly, Giant Slayer is kind of the multi-hit version of the War Master. It's as well a tier 6 offense mastery, and it also will deal big damage against big bosses. You reserve Giant Slayer for more multi-hit champions, especially on their A1, so their primary abilities. My general rule of thumb is to use Giant Slayer on champions that have a triple hit or more A1, and then you'll probably come out ahead with your Giant Slayer procs over your War Master procs. So make sure your team has these 2 masteries if possible. That's where most of your damage will be coming from to take down Brutal. Okay, so once you bring in your 5 champions fully mastered, level 60 with War Master and Giant Slayer, is that enough to take down Brutal and get the top chest reward? This is the first drop where you're going to get a better chance of the Void Shard. You do get a chance of the Void Shard in hard difficulty here, but it's a very, very tiny chance. I might get, I actually do hard, double chest hard every day, and I probably get 1 Void Shard a month, maybe. It's a very, very slim chance. Brutal probably doubles your chances, and you're going to be able to get some ancient shards and epic books. So during Brutal, you're actually getting quite a bit of extra rewards, especially the epic books. So you can upgrade some champions and start building towards better teams, especially for dungeons and for clan boss. Is War Master and Giant Slayer on a team of 60s enough for all this damage? Most likely not. So my recommendation is at this point, you really need to have poison damage. Poison damage is probably the easiest access for players to get big damage against the clan boss. You should probably have poison damage up until this point, but if you didn't have poison damage, you probably could get by with just brute forcing the damage through easy, normal, and hard. But during Brutal, you're probably looking at adding at least a poisoner. Any poisoner would probably do, and you can tell that a poisoner, once added to your team, will do obscene amounts of damage. The gear on them don't need to be insane. They just need to make this accuracy check here, which is 125, to have a 95% chance of landing their poisons against the brutal clan boss. As long as they have at least 125 accuracy, they can land the poison, deal the damage against the clan boss. Keep in mind that the clan boss can only fill up a maximum of 10 debuffs, not 10 poisons, not just 10 poisons. So if there's other debuffs, then it can only max out at 10. So if you have 10 poisons, you literally cannot have any other debuff. So there is like a cap, a damage cap on poisoners. So it's not recommended to bring like 5 poisoners, for example. You literally only bring one poisoner would be ideal. And then the other way to deal damage would be to have decreased defense. Decreased defense basically increases the strength and power of your War Master hits, and obviously all your normal hits and all that stuff. So decreased defense, definitely a huge boost. Same thing with weaken, although weaken is not something that you see too often that you can bring in champions. But for sure, decreased defense. The other way to get more damage is basically to survive more, survive longer. So what can you do to survive longer? Basically, you bring things like increase defense, ally protection, shields, all sorts of stuff like that. Decrease attack is also a big one. Basically, it makes the clan boss hit you less hard, therefore your team survives. You could also bring more healing, for example. At this point in Brutal, you probably need either a dedicated healer, or you need dedicated healing from gear, like lifesteal, for example. Regen gear can work in a pinch, although I don't expect you to have like a set of regen at this stage when you're starting to hit Brutal clan boss. But lifesteal, you guys have the starter lifesteal set. Definitely don't sell that. That's going to be, still useful up until this stage. Hopefully you guys were farming Dragon as your main dungeon farming, farm, because it's probably the easiest dungeon to farm up until this point. And then you guys kept some of your lifesteal gear. So lifesteal is a way where you can get consistent healing on your champions. Make sure champions that are wearing lifesteal have War Master on them or Giant Slayer, because the healing that you get from lifesteal from regular damage is completely negligible. However, the healing that you get when War Master or Giant Slayer triggers is substantial. That's very important. If you have lifesteal, make sure you have War Master or Giant Slayer. The other thing you could do is bring a champion with Leech. Leech will, once placed on the clan boss, if you have same thing applies. If you have War Master or Giant Slayer and it procs, basically triggers, you will gain a big heal from basically stealing the HP from the clan boss in the form of the Leech debuff. Leech is not as strong as lifesteal in terms of a big heal percentage wise. Leech, I believe, is 18%, while lifesteal gear is 30%. But usually the heal is big enough that it will heal your champion to full in either situation. So all these things in combination with each other will allow you to get through Brutal. And don't get me wrong, you don't need all of them to get through Brutal. Like I said, you might have a team that it's just 560s with War Master, and they have like relatively okay gear on them, not even all lifesteal, and they somehow just do really good. The other thing to consider if you want to do more damage are things like counter attack, ally attack, increased speed, basically getting more turns. So those are things that deal increased damage, but doesn't necessarily mean your team survives longer or anything like that. But usually going fast means you will be doing more damage. So there's a lot of things that go into the Brutal clan boss, but if you can encompass some of that, you will be able to transition to Nightmare clan boss. So this is a pretty big jump usually. So we're going to talk about the Nightmare clan boss here. So his statistics are right here. He's 170 speed. At this point, you're still probably entering mid-game-ish. Still early game, but you're probably entering mid-game-ish. The clan boss right now is 170 speed. It's a little bit more difficult than Brutal. Not significantly difficult, because Brutal is only 160 speed. However, the accuracy check against the Nightmare boss is significantly higher. 175 versus 125 from brutal. So what you need to do is basically boost up your accuracy on a lot of your debuffers. This will often mean that you probably need to have a banner with accuracy for your debuffers at this stage in the game in Nightmare difficulty. The other thing to consider is that even though you're not boosting your own speed that much, it's going from 160 to 170. The clan boss actually hits significantly harder, or at least it feels that way. So I would say bringing decreased attack against Nightmare is a must. You must bring decreased attack if you want to survive for any relative long periods of time, because otherwise, if you don't bring decreased attack, you're most likely going to fall apart around turn 20, turn 25, and it's very unlikely that you'll be able to 2-key Nightmare. Maybe you 3-key Nightmare, like you have a really high damage team, but it's very low survivability. So that might work, but I definitely recommend decreased attack and obviously bringing things like increased defense, ally protection, shields, or anything like that that can help you strengthen, that can help you stay alive, will be beneficial in Nightmare difficulty, just because the Nightmare clan boss does hit quite a bit harder, and obviously the stat requirement is going to hold back a lot of teams. In Nightmare, you're probably looking at more real teams, so you probably need a lot of these attributes added to your team to make it a successful Nightmare team. Beyond Nightmare, we have Ultra Nightmare, and it's a really, really big jump. 190 speed against the Ultra Nightmare clan boss, and the accuracy check is 250. Now, 250 is for a 95% chance of landing your debuff. However, you could run as low as 225, which gives you about 90% chance. So I don't know if that's going to make or break some teams, but I understand that some champions just won't have the stats for 250 accuracy. And then if you're forced to try to run with 225 at least. So at least you have a 90% chance of landing your debuffs, although not ideal, of course. Of course, in Ultra Nightmare clan boss, you will be looking for a speed tune. This is where you want to have your team built to have your skills go in order against the clan boss. So this is going to take more deliberate, dedicated effort. And although unkillable block damage teams are probably the easiest way to access Ultra Nightmare, they aren't completely an I win situation, because they're actually very finicky. I've done a lot of these teams. I've made teams from, classic teams that just, killable teams. I made teams that are unkillable. I made like affinity teams. I was really into clan boss when I first started. But I realized that in the end, clan boss is kind of dead content. I basically just click a button every day and then that's it. I get some rewards. And I find myself basically stripping my clan boss team of all its best gear, because there's no reason to put my best gear on my clan boss team as long as it's able to do the damage that it needs to get the maximum chest. So for example, if you're doing Nightmare, you put the 39 million here, and then for Ultra Nightmare, it's going to be 70 million for the top chest. As long as my clan boss team can clear the top chest minimums, I don't really care what gear is on them. Some of my clan boss champions don't even have books in them. They're not even fully booked, because there's no need to fully book them, because I don't use them in any other content other than clan boss. So I'm just saying, clan boss was super fun in the beginning, to be honest, and then in the end, it's kind of nothing, dead content. So I want to say, like, don't feel rushed, I guess. Kind of enjoy it, kind of learn it. There's a lot to learn. It's kind of cool to experiment with different teams and trying to figure out what team works and all that. But Ultra Nightmare, you're basically looking to obviously get the top chest, and you have access to the sacred shards, void shards, legendary books. So this is where the big goodies are in the Ultra Nightmare. A lot of questions I run into is like, if I can 4-key Ultra Nightmare, would you do it? Or stay with Nightmare. If you can do any top chest in Ultra Nightmare, definitely go for it, even if you have to spend 4 keys to get the top chest. because Ultra Nightmare is the only place where you can get the legendary books. And of course, you do have a higher chance of getting the Sacred Shard. Sacred Shard. But Nightmare also gives you a chance at the Sacred Shard and legendary book as well. But the chances are significantly lower. So I just want to make sure you guys are aware of like that situation where you can actually do Ultra Nightmare, but it takes all your keys. I recommend you would probably need to probably do that instead of just settling with like Nightmare Chest, for example. But anyways, guys, I don't want to talk too much about Ultra Nightmare because this is more for the progressing and beginner-ish, mid-game-ish player. So let's talk about a Nightmare team, and I'll build you guys a team here, basically from more budget, accessible champions, and we can talk about it as we go along. All right, guys, let's hop into Nightmare here. So I'm going to do a battle. All right, so if you recall, the Nightmare clan boss right here has 170 speed and you require 175 accuracy to do what you need to do. So I was saying against Nightmare, you really want to combine the attributes of a successful team together. So in this case, the most important attribute you probably want to bring to your team that you should be actively looking for is probably decrease attack. So in my filters, I will look for decrease attack. Okay, so I'm looking for decrease attack. I'm not going to pick any legendaries here. Just going to pick some accessible champions that are actually really good clan boss champions, actually. So actually, I'm going to go with Taragi the Frog. Excellent, excellent, epic, excellent, excellent. Sorry, there is a way to click this, right? And then show the oh, there you go. Hold down the button, guys. Hold down the button and then this screen pops up. Okay, so Taragi the Frog, right? He's an excellent clan boss champion, good base HP, a little bit slow, but that's fine. Workable. His A1 as a decrease attack. This is what you want. A1 decrease attack makes it much more consistent. And also it prevents getting randomly resisted, for example. So A1, very good, especially if you have ally attack, counter attack, or if you're going just really fast. You don't necessarily need a speed tune for Nightmare to make it work, so try and just put your best gear on your champions, make them fast, and let them go. I would save my silver and effort to basically speed tune or get a speed tune for a team for Ultra Nightmare. But if your gear is not there and you're just into Nightmare, don't worry about the speed tunes or anything like that. For now, it's just kind of a waste of energy and waste of your resources. So the A1 has the decreased attack. This is kind of like a wave-based attack, so it's not that important. You probably want to just turn this off in your presets. But then he also brings shield, ally protection here, and he brings a slight heal based on poison debuff. His passive, when attacked, he places poisons as well. So he covers a lot of things that we talked about earlier here. So he has the decreased attack. That means your team is going to survive longer. The clan boss is not going to blow you up. He brings ally protection, which greatly reduces the damage your team takes. He brings a shield. He brings healing. And he brings poisons. He brings damage himself. This is an insane clan boss champion. So let's add him to the team. So we got him here. And then afterwards, the next most important debuff that we talked about is decrease defense. So decrease defense will greatly increase the damage of your War Master procs, Giant Slayer procs, and obviously your regular attacks. So let's come back out here and let's just go in the filter. Let's check out decrease defense here. So decrease defense, the big shield with the crack in it. Let's look at epics, not legendaries. How about, we got some good ones here, but let's look at Venomage. So Venomage actually is an insanely good clan boss champion as well. Base stats not as good as Taragi, but she brings a poison detonation on the A1, and then her A2, incredibly good, brings the decreased defense and a decreased attack on a 3-turn cooldown. This is what you want. You want a 3-turn cooldown, which is basically the lowest cooldown for a non-primary move. So you want a 3-turn cooldown, decreased defense. She also brings the decreased attack which is in combination with Taragi, basically a backup decrease attack, just in case Taragi was not able to place his decrease defense, or sorry, decrease attack. I mean, it's going to happen. And sometimes when it happens, the clan boss is going to finish off your team. So this as a backup decrease attack, very, very good. Brings that as well. And then she has here, places 2. The heal reduction is not that important. It's actually kind of bad to put the heal reduction on the clan boss because that's one spot that could have been a poison. But she brings that. And then she brings 2 poison debuffs as well on a 3-turn cooldown, which is still reasonable. She brings accuracy in all battles as well if you need accuracy help, which is very good. And her passive actually reduces damage, so gives your team basically longer staying power. And this is where the heal reduction is important. So if she lands the heal reduction here, her passive will basically make the clan boss hit your team with a lot less damage, giving you more survivability. More turns mean more damage. So she's a total package for killable style clan boss teams. Obviously for unkillable, you don't need things like decrease attack or damage reduction or anything like that. But Venomage is insanely good for her role. All right, so we got ally protection, shields, decrease attack, decrease defense. We have poisons for damage, so we don't need any more poisoners for damage. We have a small heal from Tarage, so it looks like we need a way to heal. So like I said, either you bring lifesteal gear on your whole team, you bring a dedicated healer, big healer, consistent healer, or you bring leech. So let's look at our filter. I would say let's try to bring leech. Oh, perfect. Vogoth. So if you have Vogoth is insanely good. He's actually a pretty good arena champion as well, especially when you're progressing through. He brings the A1. He has a chance to increase the duration of a random debuff. So for example, if the clan boss has a poison debuff, his Vogoth's A1 can increase the duration of it, which means it's staying on longer. It's not going to drop off. It's going to deal more damage. So it's a great A1. Triple hits. Remember, triple hit. Giant Slayer is very good on Vogoth for extra damage. His A2 is more PvE, like wave base focused. And the decrease attack won't apply because you can't provoke the clan boss. So you probably want to just turn this off and just let him A1 the clan boss, which is perfect because the A1 will just increase, the debuffs on the clan boss, like decrease defense or whatever. Any debuff on the clan boss is very, very good. And then he brings this passive, which when he gets hit, so when the clan boss slams him, he will heal your team. So effectively, he gives your whole team mass healing, but of course he needs to heal himself. So if you can supply him with a single healing set, then he basically is giving his healing to your whole team. So Vogoth's really, really good as a way to mass heal your team. His second passive, when attacked, place a leech on the attacker. This is perfect against the clan boss because when the clan boss hits Vogoth, the clan boss will take a leech debuff and give HP to your whole team when they attack into the clan boss. So you can see how Vogoth here is basically like a total healing package. He heals your whole team. He can bring extra damage by extending debuffs like poison, for example, or uptime on decreased defense. And then he also brings the leech, which allows your whole team to heal up as well. So Vogoth, very, very solid clan boss champion. The thing is with Vogoth is that he's not going to bring insane amounts of damage, even if you bring him Giant Slayer and even if you give him like insane stats. But for him, just make him super tanky. Give him some healing like Immortal set or whatever. Even a Lifesteal set on him would work. And yeah, just let him be the support for your team. One thing to keep in mind, you want to place Vogoth at the end of your team here for maximum effect of his passive. So the way his passive works is that damage flows from the first spot into the second spot and then into the third spot and then into the fourth spot and then lastly into the fifth spot, Vogoth. So if you the damage would flow through these 4 champions first and then into Vogoth. So then Vogoth can heal your 4 champions. If you place Vogoth here, Vogoth gets hit first and then his heal would trigger, but then the rest of your team does not get damage. So he will be healing a full health team. Hope that makes sense to you guys. But make sure you guys put Vogoth in this position, the last position here. All right, so our clan boss team is shaping up pretty good. What can we do with the last 2 spots to fully fill out our team? So right now we only really have poisons and obviously debuff extension and decreased defense for damage. We need more damage, guys. More damage. So how can we get more damage? We can do more turns. We can do HP burn. We can do turn meter boost, more turns, speed, HP burn. We can use a hard hitting champion. For example, let's go with, the easiest one for me would be HP burn, and there is only one GG HP burn champion out there, and it's going to be Geomancer. Geomancer is absolutely GG for a clan boss or any boss related content. His HP burn also places a weaken, which helps your team deals more damage, and his passive makes the HP burn basically reflect back damage to the enemy that has the HP burn on it, and it does an obscene amount of damage. So if you have Geomancer, definitely throw him in all your boss content, and he's going to do some insane work for you. So in this case, we're going to build basically a best case scenario here, Geomancer. If you don't have Geomancer, for example, you could even use somebody like Drexar. Drexar will provide some damage just with the HP burns, but he's not going to be as ideal as somebody like Geomancer, who provides weaken, which makes your whole team deals more damage. And of course, his passive is going to deal an obscene amount of damage as well. All right, so just looking at our team again, so we have some damage with Geomancer, we have damage with poisons. I think that's might be enough. What we are missing on this team is probably increased defense. Increased defense is super, super important. If you have it, definitely bring it. If you have something like a cleanse, that can be useful as well, although not super necessary because the team is not speed tuned. So you're just going to be eating the stun, losing a turn. That's going to be the way it goes with this team, especially if you don't have a speed tune. So for me, I think I would pick an increased defense champion that might complement this team. So let's have a look here at our filter. We want a increased defense to give us a little bit more turns. Who do we have here for increased defense? Let's see here. So like I was saying, you could bring a champion with increased defense. I'm going to give this team one legendary. Let's give it to Tora. So to Tora here, Rhymehide, super, super good champion. He's a solid champion, especially for these type of clan boss teams. He brings a 3-turn block debuff, increased defense. He hits relatively okay. He has an A1 decreased accuracy, which is not super relevant. And then he has a 4-turn kind of like slam that places a shield. Again, it's okay. But the main thing about him is that he has a 3-turn block debuff, increased defense. So a champion like this would basically increase the survivability of your team. It also places block debuffs, which can stop the clan boss from poisoning your team, placing decreased speed, stunning your team. That's very important. And then he also brings some extra shields and stuff like that as well. He hits okay. He's an okay hitter. He has some decent base stats. He is a legendary, of course, but you can definitely replace him with any kind of increased defense champion to fill out the team that we already have. So how do we want to arrange this situation here? So what you want to do is basically put the, if you have an increased defense aura, you want that in the front. If not, we'll put the HP aura here. So the way it works is the stun target will be the champion that the clan boss will target based on affinity or how low the HP is of the champion. The clan boss actually hits you on the stun turn based on max HP. So actually decreased attack on the clan boss won't neutralize that hit that much. So there are ways to kind of bait the clan boss into targeting a specific champion. So you can actually build one champion that has super high defense, low HP, so it takes as little damage as possible from the stun hit. But you know what? I don't want to talk about that in this video right now. I just want to talk about general team composition and what it looks like. So like I said, we have offense here with some poisons. We have HP burn for damage offense. We have protection with the ally protection. We have protection with the decreased attack that keeps us alive. We have decreased defense as well. We have increased defense. We have healing, leech, buff extension, and then we have weaken as well. So there it is, guys. This is kind of what a clan boss team should look like at this point in Nightmare and beyond. When I'm talking about beyond in Ultra Nightmare, teams can look completely different, but it's based on a lot of different things, mainly a speed tune. For this type of team, you don't need to speed tune it. Just make them as fast as you can make them in the best gear that you have, and then just let it go. And then you'll probably end up 2 keying, 3 keying the clan boss basically under all situations. And once you pull maybe a game-changing champion or your gear progresses, then you'll start seeing some gains in terms of lowering your key count and maybe even touching Ultra Nightmare once you have the resources to build a speed tune team. Obviously, guys, getting to this point, it takes a lot of grinding, blood, sweat, and tears, and frustration, of course. It's more fun to build it out yourself and figure it out yourself. Obviously, the best resource for building and learning about clan bosses and clan boss teams is Deadwood Jedi's website. He has a specific clan boss calculator that you can use to obviously find speed tunes, and he also gives you some speed tunes on his website as well. It's far too advanced probably for anyone outside of Nightmare difficulty, so I wouldn't fall too hard on it yet. But once you start hitting Nightmare difficulty and you're looking to optimize your team, it's definitely a good resource. The Discord's a great resource as well, so definitely check those out when you get to that point. But anyways, guys, hopefully this video was informative. It's a little bit long. I didn't want it to be so long, but there's so much to talk about here and it's overwhelming. But I hope that I laid the groundwork for the clan boss progression, at least until from the beginning until you hit Nightmare clan boss. Hopefully I built you guys a proper composition for a clan boss team here, and then you guys can take that and obviously apply it to your own roster. Obviously, there's going to be some parts that are missing. You just have to make it up. Kind of experiment. It's okay. Also, if you guys don't know, the best tip for doing clan boss testing is basically you can exit your key without committing your key. So if you go into the clan boss and then you have this loaded up, what I would do on PC is I basically go into the Control-Alt-Delete Taskmaster and then close player and play. While your run is still running, you can pause the run. Basically, as long as the run does not end, you can save the key, guys. Control-Alt-Delete, close Plarium, play, close raid, and then reload it. You guys will get the key back. You guys can test again. This is super crucial. If you guys don't know this, it's going to change your life in terms of getting proper keys, not getting terrible keys. And yeah, it gives you the best chance at having the best rewards, guys. Clan boss is super important for anybody that is progressing through this game that don't want to spend a bajillion dollars on resources. Sometimes it can be frustrating for sure, and sometimes you have to babysit your team, even manualing your team for best results. If you are in that position and you're dedicated enough, you can definitely do that. I had to babysit a lot of teams, even my unkillable teams I had to babysit. They all have weird setups and I had to swap gear and do all this stuff on a daily basis. It is a massive headache. But like I said, guys, it's all a journey. It's all for fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you guys learned something. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If this was helpful to you, give me a like, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Love you guys. Hopefully it was great. Take care, have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.